Hey, Bryce Tubbs here. I just want to come and answer the question where to start your bookkeeping business. Now, I got asked this question. Probably about 3 days ago, and the person who asked was saying that there are so many things that you need to do when you're starting out, and it's really overwhelming her. Right? It's making the website, it's the LLC, it's the insurance, it's going in a business license, it's making their business card, it's getting the brochures, it's all the different things that are there that most people tell you need to do in order to start the business, but it ends up causing a lot of confusion and makes it really hard for the average person to start. Now today I just want to simplify the process of exactly where to start, what you need to do, what to focus on, and what are those main things. Now before we go into that, if you want some help growing your business and you want to sacrifice less, get your result faster, and really avoid a lot of the mistakes that most people make, I just recommend you go ahead and click on the link inside the description below to apply to book a call with me to see if I can help you out inside the private mentorship program. If it's a good fit, I'll let you know. If it's not a good fit, I'll let you know that as well, and we'll make sure you have a game plan of what to do. Now, jumping into this thing, okay? The main reason why you need to avoid a lot of those things that most people do is because you need to focus on RGA. That's revenue generating activities. Okay? Most people, what happens, and especially for me, I got started about 7 years in my accounting and bookkeeping business, but I spent probably 3 months making a website. I spent 2 months making a brochure, right? It took me about 3 weeks to go and get the LLC because I didn't know how to do it at the beginning. So I first had to research how to go do the LLC. Then the process for the LLC in my state took me about two weeks for them to get back, right? Then we had to get insurance. It was just all this a mess, right? And that was about 6 months that it took. And when I looked back, the website was terrible. The brochures, we need to do it 2 or 3 more times. We had to go. It was just a mess. And I look up and I'm like, we're not making any money. We have no clients. What's going on? And for most people, they realize that too late, right? And by the end of that, especially if maybe you've been trying to grow the business or it's a really high priority, you lose a lot of the enthusiasm that you had for starting the business, and it causes you to actually halt, slow your progress down, and not really make it to the level that you want. So instead, that's what you need to be focused on in order to avoid a lot of that. So number one, okay, you need to be focused on your current sphere of influence. So when I say your current sphere of influence, this means looking around all different relationships you've ever had in your life and then making those relationships either turn into clients or turn into referral partners. So for example, if you've been inside of corporate America for any amount of time, right? Maybe let's say you're a bookkeeper or maybe you're a staff accountant, right? That means you've probably worked with CFOs, director of finances, senior accounting managers, other bookkeepers, other staff accountants. Maybe you have an alumni association with other CPAs. Maybe you have a CPA association. Maybe you have a college professor that used to own a business in accounting. Right? You have all these people inside of your life that could potentially refer people to you. Now, your job is to learn how to tap into those people, okay? So number one, I'm always looking, through my phone contacts, through my Facebook, through my LinkedIn, through my Instagram, who do I know that owns a business, or who do I know that could potentially, give me some money, right? And from there, I have a really organized script of what to say to get the people to, tell you about the different pains and their problems, and then actually ask you if you can help them with your accounting and bookkeeping, right? And then once you're able to do that, it doesn't really come across salesy, right? Because you don't want to burn bridges with your friends by selling them hard. You want them to actually make it their idea for you to work with them. And if you have the right script, it's very easy to do that. Now, a good example of someone doing this is one of my students named Lauren. Actually, no, even better. It's when I was first getting started, my first major client came from doing this. So I was inside of my church, right, and I was talking probably every 2 weeks or so. I would talk to this guy. He was a physician, right? He owned a doctor's office, and I would talk to him, ask him a bunch of questions about his life, questions about, what it was like owning a really successful business. Because at the time, I was just getting started, and I was super enamored with what happens when you start running a business? How do you run a business? Is it possible for me to make any money? I'm not making any money. I don't know what I'm doing. Give me some advice, right? And one day he was just hey, do you know Quincy? And I was no, I don't know Quincy. Because I walked around, just talked to some people inside the church, but Quincy was kind of standoffish towards me, right? So then the physician was hey, Quincy, come here. And they introduced us, And then it turns out Quincy had like this really nice sized business, and he ended up paying me $3,000 per month, right? Now, what that came from was this relationship with this doctor, right? It's like, who do you know in your life that could potentially introduce you or pay you money to, you know, work with you just from doing that? But you have to look around and to be really observant and really aware of your surroundings. Now, a good example is my student, Lauren. So when Lauren first started, we have this activity, it's called the low-hanging fruit activity. It's why like a lot of the students, you might see them get like, you know, to that $5,000 a month mark like in under like 10 days or something. Like whenever you've seen someone get like a really big result really quickly, it's generally because of a low-hanging fruit activity that we did in the first probably like 2 to 3 weeks. That's why it's like I always invite people to join the mentorship program, because the way that we go about doing it is it's a lot more unique than what you're thinking of, and the way that you're thinking of it's going to take you a lot more time than the way that I think about it, because I just know the shortcuts to take. But for Lauren, for example, I told her, hey, go through your phone contacts. Any person who's ever owned a business, any person that, you know, could potentially refer you clients, I need you to go and run them through this script, get them to go, right? So she pulled up her phone, and the person in particular who ended up like working with her, she went on like this blind date, like I think it was like 3 years ago, and they went out like one time. She's like, it didn't really go anywhere. There's not really much chemistry. But she reached out to him, she ran the script, and the person started talking about his business. And, you know, whenever sometimes, like, you'll hear someone talk about their business and, like, they're just kind of blowing smoke. You get there and it's like, you know, it's just terrible, like 10 transactions, and they don't really have any budget. Well, in this particular case, the person was actually telling the truth. He actually undersold how well his business was doing, because he didn't just have one business, he had 3 businesses. Now, when she ran the numbers, because I give you guys like a pricing calculator when we're working together, so you can just like see exactly what the scope of work is and know exactly how much to charge. So she ran it through, and it's like the calculator said $1,200 a month, right? So she said the price, she did the script, like I give you as a sales script. So she used it, then she said it's like $1,200 per month per business, right? And the person's like, okay, cool. And it all came from her going and tapping into her current and existing sphere of influence, just from seeing like where are those opportunities that are coming. Now, you might be thinking, Bryce, I'm already ahead of you. I've already thought of this. I've talked to every single person. No one wants to give me money. I posted on my Facebook profile, and nobody that I know owns a business, or nobody I know can help me. Okay, I understand. I was very similar when I first got started. Now, hopefully this video has been really helpful for you. Now, as always, I always invite you to go ahead and click on the link inside the description and book a call with me, because you have 2 options. Number 1, you can go and you can take this information, you can try it on your own, but there's just so many different things that I can't address inside of a video, like how to talk to the person when you first get started, how to set the agenda on the sales call, how to make sure the person has a budget, how to make sure the person has a budget but is willing to spend that budget, how to make sure that you're talking and hitting all their pain points, how to make sure you can close on the objections, what happens if they say, hey, I need to go talk to my spouse, what happens if they say they need to go talk to their dog, what happens if this, you know, all these different things. But I can't address it because everything is situation by situation. So option 1 is you go and try on your own, you do a lot of trial and error, you know, maybe you figure it out, maybe you don't, and you end up like quitting the business. Option number 2, okay, this is how you go with less sacrifice, ease, and speed. Okay, that's partnering with me inside the paid mentorship program, making sure you know exactly what you need to do from our proven process, so you actually grow a lot faster. You know, I want you to be on our wall of testimony. We have an internal wall of testimonial over, I think it's over about 70 different video testimonials at this point, from students that are happy with the program, they're super excited, who have all made it to, you know, some sort of income goal. Generally, it's above the $5,000, $10,000 when we do the recaps. So I want that to be for you, okay? I want to make sure that you can succeed. I want to make sure you can go. Now, I am financially motivated to make sure you succeed, but nevertheless, we want to make sure that you do, right? Because if you pay money to me, I want to make sure that my name's on it. We got to protect our reputation. So if you want some help, go ahead and click on the link inside the description below to apply to see if I can help you out. Now, some people might be a little bit afraid of the investment amount, right? They might say, Bryce, I don't really have a lot of money. Now, we do have third-party funding. So about 6 months ago, I partnered with a funding company. And inside of that, they allow us to be able to make the program more accessible to people who might not have the cash flow up front to pay for it, right? Because if you're starting a business, sometimes you don't have a lot of cash. Now, I always invite people to use their personal money to fund the business, but for some people, they just don't really have it, right? So generally what this funding does is we can give up to about 2 to 5 year terms, right? Anywhere from 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, all the way up to five years, depending on what your situation is, to make sure that you can grow. Now, depending on what type of loan you have, there's different things you need to do to qualify. It's not for everybody, okay? So if you want some help, you want to be able to grow your business. Now, we've taken out the investment amount. Like, it's easy, anyone can do it. It's more about, are you ready to go and reach your goal? If you are, click the link, book a call. If you're not quite ready, I'll see you inside the next video. There's no harm, no foul. And I will talk to you soon, and I'll see you either the next video or I'll see you on the call. Have a great rest of your day.